Welcome to the Art Smart podcast. I'm Chris Pinder. This is Rich Heppel. This is Dillan Pattni.
Hi there.
And this is Justin Fothergill. And,
Hello, everybody.
You are a man in South Africa for 10 years.
Nearly 3 years.
And then before that, radio.
Before.
But often, if you're meeting someone who's not come into contact with the brand before, in 2 minutes or less, what is HDAnywhere?
Oh, the elevator pitch.
We call it a lift here, but
There are a lot of products that do what we do on paper, but there were no brands. There's no brand that had the level of caring, the level of capability, the level of we'll take that challenge. For me, it's so much more than just the products and the features and the specs, and we've got that, and we're better than many at some, and we're the same as many at others. But the reality is we're just so much more than that.
I'd like to add to that. I mean, there's a couple of things.
Do you know we haven't actually started yet?
Have we not? I thought we were legit going. I'm like, great point, Justin. Great.
Hi guys, Rich from Art Smart. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, these guys that I'm sat around the table with today need no introduction. I'm going to give them one anyway. But HDAnywhere has been a brand and a business that has been absolutely pivotal to what we've done as a business ourselves. In fact, for those who do not know, HDAnywhere was actually the brand that inspired me into the industry. Now, we'll bring up this story every year. Tag them, tag Chris, tag Dylan on social media. I mention this story every single year when I post the video matrix that is in my house. But anyway, without further ado, we'll go around the table, talk to them, and then we'll get through into the products. We'll start with the man to the side of me here, Mr. Pinder.
hello.
Talk to me.
Well, my name's Chris Pinder, and I started HDAnywhere 12, nearly 13 years ago now. And originally it was a company that sold cables and then long cables. And then because we were selling longer cables than you could get in retail stores, professional installers such as yourself began to come to us. And then as we do today, we listen to what they're saying to us. They're saying, well, you should do this, you should do that. And that's how we grew into doing the splitters and the matrices and the extenders. And 10, 13 years later, we are a manufacturer of video distribution hubs, which basically are entertainment centers for the home that allow you to have really neat and tidy living spaces whilst hiding all the technology in a centralized location. And we're moving more into the smart home category and doing more than just AV.
Don't give away too much just yet, Chris.
We won't give it.
Hang fire.
Yeah,
we almost did a podcast in 5 minutes.
That's what we do. So
So
and we're
you
here
founded
at
it?
our Malvern HQ.
Which is a very nice HQ. The
Thank
space
you.
we are in here is exquisite.
Thank you very much.
So, Dylan, I think you jump in at this point because you were there 13 years ago.
Yeah, well, I've actually known Chris since I was at university, and I started off working in advertising, and whilst I was in that job, Chris used to message me all the time saying, work for me, work for me, work for me. And then I used to reply back on...
I think it's work with me. Work with me.
Yeah, well, work with me. Yeah. Well, no, I think it was at the beginning.
It was for me. I know Pinder enough.
Because he's younger at the time. It was like, and I used to reply back with "Hell no, you work from like your second bedroom. I'm not quitting my job to work for you." And I told him that he'd ruined Leanne, his now wife's life, because I went to university with Leanne as well. Anyway, that happened for a year or so before I broke and then joined the company.
Crumbled.
But I did make
What was the second bedroom like?
Was
enough room for 3 of you?
No, it was tiny. It was literally a computer, and then just stacks of cables behind us, and then I think back in those days you had to physically walk the orders to the post office.
Yeah.
I didn't join at that point. I was like, this is too amateur. Like
I
my
felt
demand.
like I'd made it. I felt like I was like proper entrepreneur.
Yeah,
and
you were big dog. Like
I used to
like, you're in your flat,
At least you were taking orders.
yeah.
I cringe when I think about it now, but I used to. This was when you could still smoke in pubs. And I used to carry like these sacks of cables to the post office in the middle of Manchester. And then on the way home, I'd stop off at the Knot pub, which was in Castlefield on the way
I think
to
you may have even taken me there.
Yeah, and I'd smoke a cigar and have a burger.
Like that's like a true entrepreneur right there.
But they were great days. And and actually how I persuaded Dylan was it's all about overcoming objections, isn't it? Like getting the sale and just getting Dylan to come work for me was similar. And he kept throwing down these reasons why. He's like, you've not even got an
like you
office.
to a sale.
Yeah, overcoming objections is Chris's mantra. Like persistence beats resistance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God, yeah, he'll wear you down.
And it was like, you don't even have an office.
Yeah.
And I haven't even got a desk.
Yep.
So I went out and found an office, which was essentially
office.
It was in a part of Manchester called Earlham.
Yep.
In Salford.
Oh, it was a
Salford
nice
Cinema.
place. Yeah, it was all right, but that
And at
first
the back-
office,
It was at the back of a garage.
less so. Yeah.
Yeah, an unused office and toilets.
Yep, they're pretty bad.
And I painted it, put a carpet in, put an IKEA desk in, sent a picture to Dylan of it looking quite nice. Said, look, you've got your desk now. Come on.
And honestly,
Without telling him it was the only disc.
yeah.
There's one desk, is yours.
You got to put yourself in my shoes because I was working for a pretty successful advertising agency at the time, and I just thought to myself, like, how do I explain this to my dad? Like, I've decided to quit my job, which I was doing quite well in, and work for my mate who doesn't have an office. I now work
Fixed address.
in his second bedroom. Yeah, and my dad would be like, "What? You sure that's a sensible idea?" Well, anyway, that is what happened. What
did you do? What did you do to help grow the business?
Design in the first instance, it was dominance online. Like, we absolutely smashed it. We had like number one set right back then, like being top of Google, having very, very good advertising campaigns, being represented in the right sort of online places, very, very important, led to the initial company sort of growth explosion.
And at the time was HD connectivity.
Yeah, because we were just cables to start with. And then we were quite strong on the forums. AV forums is still to this day.
I can actually remember because that is where I first come across you. Just can remember D.
Yeah,
They used to work here. When D used to work here, AV F10 or whatever the discount code was in the forums. I can remember that.
Bloody hell.
And that's how I bought my first, and that's how I had my first ever. Like, forget control, forget anything that I do today. That was how I had my first introduction. Because I was an electrician wiring up my first house, thinking, what cool stuff can I put in my house? Reading the internet, trolling the forums, and I ended up on the AV forums naturally because I wanted to put some AV stuff in. And then Dee was all over it. She was relentless.
Yeah.
She replied to everything, knowledge, and I didn't know what the hell a matrix was at the time, but I thought I need one of these for my house, and I bought one. I got it with the 10% discount code.
Nice.
I got it, put it on Twitter at the time. I mean, I don't use Twitter now, but I put it on Twitter at the time at HDAnywhere, and then that was when Chris from Customized had seen it, and he said use #liveinstall. And that is literally the beginning of me wanting to. So that was 3 years before Outsmart started.
Yeah.
But that was putting HDAnywhere Matrix in my house was the initial fire that led us to where we are today.
Well, that pretty much, supports my point there because you found us, and that is what I was predominantly brought in to do. So rather than
So you
have
did your
100,
job pretty good.
I think I did all right.
You did all right.
Yeah,
mate.
I'm
But it's funny.
still here. I haven't been sacked yet.
It's funny how you kind of, that's how people found us. We were very strong at that. And then we built the business to a point where now, you get customers who are saying, "Oh, we'd rather you not publish pricing online," or you want to be a bit more harder to find because we want the products to be more exclusive. And then it's kind of really tricky to keep changing your persona from being this very upfront,
open.
This is what our product does. Even the brand name HDAnywhere, we came up with that name because we wanted normal consumers to understand what our products did. No one really knows what a matrix is. That's why we call it
HDAnywhere.
We don't even we don't even refer to it on our website as a matrix.
Yeah.
Like we try and keep the concept of everything in as
it was a
plain
multi-room
language as
system.
possible.
It's a multi-room system is what we went with. And then Sky tried to do us on the trademark for the word multi-room.
Yep. Which
was ridiculous.
Battles. Yeah.
But we battled that and
beat Sky in court.
It didn't even get that far. It was one of the amount of things over the years like that we've had to little guy versus big guy. That you just got to stand your ground. I find on those things. So M Hub itself was what we called it's a hub for the home, a multimedia hub for the home. And in that time we've gone through many different versions of M Hubs. As resolutions have gone up, we've had to improve our resolution capabilities. And then, in the biggest change for us was when we did the X event. Nearly 5 years ago.
I remember they said that
in
2016.
I might. So they were like, I don't know, around about 2014, something like that. Chris bought everyone in the company a
Tesla.
No, it was.
We need to talk.
Yeah, maybe next year. What were they? Raspberry Pis. So he bought everyone a bunch of Raspberry Pis, and all the guys in the company just built like music streamers and little things to run whatever they're home with this Raspberry Pi. I took it and attached it to one of our video to the M hubs, and I thought to myself, well, if we could write like a software layer or something built using like web concepts, perhaps maybe we can make the system more intelligent. And that is what started to
was that the birth of uControl?
Well, that was the birth of a lot of stuff. Because what had happened was there was a convergence of technology. So, like, I'm sorry to go all technical here for a second.
Go technical.
Like, so, like, inside anything that's like a modern IoT device, it's basically all running off web concepts. So, like, the same sort of technology that you'd find inside a website can be found inside consumer electronics. And I was like, I know how to do that. And I've managed to patch this into this machine here. I probably could build on that. And then that is where my role started to change from just being hands-on design, hands-on web, to more sort of architect for the system, which eventually came about, the cloud, the app platform, the OS.
Well, I think your technical title is that you are Director of UX and UI.
Yeah. I don't like titles so much. I like head of design.
Head of design.
Yeah. I tell people I color in boxes for a living, which is but
keep them guessing.
Yeah, Colton does a better job of it now than I do. Yeah, I go to tell him what to do. Makes me feel good.
So we went to South Africa with. I'll jump to South Africa so we can bring Justin into the conversation. So we were doing quite well sales-wise in our domestic market. Obviously, that's the UK, and we're this brand that's amongst a cluster of other well-known brands. Some of which have fallen to the wayside now, some of which are still apparent. But our main sort of customer base became custom installers that were using our M hubs in conjunction with a control system. And that's still, a lot of customers use it like that today. But we just felt uneasy about having that reliance on a control system to actually make our box do something. Like if you bought another competitor's matrix or M hub equivalent and took it out of the box, it couldn't do anything. It literally is dumb.
It's just a brick.
Yeah. And we didn't like that idea. So that's where the emphasis behind spending a lot of money and a lot of time. In fact, for years and years and years, we've been reinvesting most of our profits into the uControl platform. And I think we gave a similar story to Justin when he came to ISE as part of a South African distributor called Radionic, and said, like, he wanted to sell our stuff in South Africa, which was great. And luckily for us, South Africa, it was a bit like entering the Intertoto Cup. It was like the landscape of competitors wasn't very strong.
No.
I mean, and we didn't have the reputation. We didn't have 6 or 7 years of the older versions of HDAnywhere products that people in the UK knew us for. We were able to enter the South African market with our latest and greatest products, and Justin got fully behind it out there.
Well, I'm going to guess Justin got really fully behind it due to the fact he's now sat around this table.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so you started off, you would distribute.
We were a distributor of specialized custom integration products. Not how the company started, but that's certainly what we became. And we'd burnt our fingers with anything HDMI based before, and I'd taken a strategic decision back then to say, you know, when HDMI was still trying to extend an HDMI cable over 2 Cat5s and all that kind of muck. Wow, it was bad. It was bad for our industry. It was bad for our business in our country. And we said, no, hell no, we'll wait for the dust to settle. And for somebody to come along that presents a technology at a price that we believe in. And when the dust had settled and technologies like HD-based T were clearly the going to be the technology that were going to dominate, I was walking around ISE and I'd prepared a shopping list. You know, to come to ISE for us as South Africans is a bit of a schlep. You know, it's 11 hours on a plane. It's a ton of money when the exchange rate is against you to the tune of 20 to 1. So we take the trip very seriously. And I'd been planning, and I was going to go look at a whole bunch of brands. And HDAnywhere was right up there on the list because they really had an interesting look and feel to their entire product offering. And I did the tour of ISE over 3 days and looked at everybody, and every other brand I looked at just simply wasn't offering the package deal that HDAnywhere was offering for a product. But also, when I went and talked to the humans behind the brand, you know, I got the sense that these were a bunch of guys that really loved what they were doing. And for me, that's important. We were a family-owned business, and I'm not a good sales guy. If you're just going to give me a product to sell because it's a product that has to be sold, I'm probably the worst guy for the job. I've really got to have a brand I can believe in. And, you know, talking to Chris and Dylan and James about what it is that they were trying to do and how they were trying to achieve it and where they thought they could go with what they were doing really spoke to me. And so we took on the brand and into a very difficult market. South Africa is not like anywhere else on the world. We have challenges, both physical installation challenges as well as service provider challenges that the rest of the world simply doesn't get. And it was the fact that when we hit those challenges, we were able to come back to this team and they came back and said, yeah, we can help you fix this one. We can, you know, we can work around it.
And tweak it to make it work for you.
Exactly. And that made all the difference. And I'm very proud to say to this day, with that kind of support from HDAnywhere, South Africa is the largest export market we have outside of the UK.
Nice.
You know, and it was my dealers believing in me, me believing in a brand, these guys believing in us. And that all came together in just the right way. Yeah, there was not a lot of competition, but there was also a truckload of skepticism and not a lot of knowledge. Like you said, you came into the business, you didn't know what a matrix was. We had AV professionals in the business who didn't know what a matrix was or what it could really do. But we were able to give them a product that they could trust. And then we can talk about the uControl and the capabilities and the fact that it was more than just the box with a spec sheet.
Which is a nice box.
Yeah, it's a nice box.
So that's
I colored in those boxes as well.
Yep, Dylan did a great job of that. And so you know, that spoke to us. And our market is perfect for this kind of product in South Africa because we live in slightly larger homes. We tend to spend more time at home. For us, our entertainment is in our yard because unlike people in the UK, for example, we can't go for a little walk, down to the local because you'll get mugged or whatever. So we tend to entertain and spend our times in our homes. And so the per capita ownership of televisions is much higher. And just like most other countries, sports is religion in our country. And people want their soapies and their sports and their HDAnywhere. And so we were able to deliver that. We were the brand that could do it with more capability, but still at a decent level of affordability.
I think
it's made a big difference.
When people think of HDAnywhere in the UK, they don't see our strength of our brand overseas. They just think of where we're at in the UK. Now, in the UK, I'm not kidding myself. I know we're not top 1, 2, maybe not even top 3 brand in our category. And definitely not in the USA either, because of the nature of how the market's been set up with distributors and stuff. But we export little over 40% of what we sell. So a big part of our business is overseas. And I'll explain the reason why we adopted that strategy was because we were a little bit late to the party with our product. So the distributors had already picked their brands that they were going to push in the UK. And also in the States. And so we had a choice. We either had to pick the distributors that were on the B, C, or D list, or or find the markets like South Africa that were untapped potential for what we did. And in that process, Justin did such a good job at being Mr. HDAnywhere. We've now brought him to the UK.
Yeah, so
to
that
be
good of a
Mr.
job.
HDAnywhere.
Yeah, so you're doing a great job representing our business.
Yeah.
How about you come to the UK and represent our business?
Yeah, it wasn't all me, but it was. We were successful, and I think where I'm useful to this business now is I've been our immediate customer, the distributor. I've been you. And I've also worked in retail, so I have that perspective, which is quite useful. I've been tasked. It's no mean feat ultimately, but part of my task here in the UK now is to bring what made us successful in South Africa. It's not a formula. It's not going to work in every single market. It's not going to work for every single distributor. But flexibility is what we're good at, and adaptability. So our strategy now is how do we help our distributors and our integrators get the most out of our brand? How do we get them to understand how we're different, how we're better, and how to get the most out of it, what we do. And because I believe in the brand, being able to wear the badge is very easy for me. And I do it with pleasure and pride, I got to tell you. But it's the fact that these guys have stood by me through thick and thin. This brand, these people, these products have done what they say they're going to do. And let's be honest, I have a very simple theory. I've been doing this. I've been in this business for 36 years now. And if there's one thing I've learned, if it has electricity running through it and or is made by man, in other words, pretty much everything, it's going to break.
It's going to cause you problems.
It's going to.
That is life.
There are some other jokes about tits and wheels we won't get into, but if it's got electricity or it's made by man, you're going to have some challenges. They're going to happen. It's how you deal with it that counts. Yeah. We're geared more than ever before now to deal with the challenges of looking after our brand, but also getting people to understand that we're the guys that will be behind you when you've got our product.
And I think what you said there is a massive reason why what we do is, and what we've continued to do, and why we'll always use HDAnywhere is for that exact reason there. I mean, granted, aside from that, for what we do, we've also become friends with the people behind the business as well. But that whole people don't buy from businesses, people buy from people. And throughout my full journey, it's always been spec HDAnywhere, HDAnywhere. And to the point where our clients were then seeing our content and then specking it themselves. There was a little time where the amount of zones we needed went a little bit above what HDAnywhere did, but then boom, bring in the MOPS.
Yes. Nice. I see what you did there.
No, but it did. It did. And that was because we'd even get on social sometimes going, have you fallen out with HDAnywhere? No, I just need 10 zones.
Yeah.
Like I've said to Chris loads, mate, I need 10 zones from you. You're like, no, we only do 8. No, Chris, I need 10. 10 for where we're at as a business. 10's our sweet spot, like 10 zones. And then...
and that was the feedback we were getting from South Africa too. Bigger homes. bigger
Mhm.
properties, and we listen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah,
and
I-
people say, they used to say for years, like, "Are you going to do an AV over IP product? Are you going to do an AV over?"
I think it's saturated.
It's
Yeah.
we take a long time to make decisions over products choices and decisions over what do we stand for as a brand, and we've always we want us to stand for the best pitch quality possible,
Mhm.
which hand on heart you just cannot actually guarantee with IP.
Mhm.
You cannot squeeze genuinely 18 gigabits of data down a 1 gigabit cable without suffering
Something
some
happening.
degradation.
Mhm.
So that was always a sticking point for us. And so when we were thinking about how do we answer the question you're
Mhm.
posing, like 10 zones and above,
Mhm.
when we started costing out a 10 output matrix, it was coming out a bit expensive for where our brand's normally known for being.
Yeah.
So thinking around the problem, that's when we thought about making this, can we make a stackable matrix where
And
an
that when you showed me
expandable-
that was like shit.
Yeah.
Because let's look at it. Nobody's doing a stackable matrix.
No.
As far as I'm aware, it's not done. And the thing is that we see from let's look at it from a consumer point of view, not from a product or a shift in a box point of view. Clients with video distribution, they don't always fully get it. For me, they do, but they don't. They get that we're going to tidy your house up, going to tidy everything away. But then it's no, well, I'm not going to want Sky on that TV. I don't need that on that TV. Or the kids don't need it upstairs. So the fact that you can put in an 8-zone matrix for now, and then those other couple of outputs in a year, 2 year, if you wanted to, bang, then could add the extra layer once they realise why they needed that. So without having to sell them a really expensive product straight off, you can sell them a product and then bolt the other product on when they're ready. Make it stackable.
The best thing about it, the concept behind it, is that it's just so simple.
Mhm.
Like, you don't need to worry. Well, in terms of you don't need to make a humongous investment in like a ginormous fixed format system. You don't need to do infrastructure investment with what you need to do with a AV over IP. It's just bang a system in. If you need more, add another one. And if you need more, just add another one. It's really simple. It's
and you
literally
can mix
one
and match
SKU
as well. So
Yeah.
if you've got 8 zones of 100 meter 4K video distribution with automatic scaling. So if you can have a mix of display resolutions, and it'll automatically figure out which one to use. But if you've got 4 zones that require the ARC function, you want to get ARC back to your centralized location, then you can layer it with an M-Hub Pro, just a 4x4 one. And then you've got a 12 output system with 40 outputs with ARC and an 8 without, because you don't need it. So we're not going back to the days of modular, but if the installer is prepared to think about the system in the system design, which I hope a good quality installer would, then they can maximize value for the client, but potentially maximize margin for you as the installer by cleverly specifying HDAnywhere components.
Yeah, it's definitely simpler too. Like I said, it's one SKU.
We, a network switch manufacturer can release a firmware update over the air at any time that can knock over an AV over IP system. If Cisco change something and then you mistakenly upgrade to Cisco, and then suddenly it's all fucked. Whereas, with our systems, it's fully reliant on itself and only itself.
It's enclosed,
But I mean, also that simplicity is beneficial. If I take my position now as somebody who's got to train Rich and his team, or, the next person is, our strategy with not going IP right now certainly is well founded, because you already know how to do HD base T. You already know how an M-Hub works. If you've done our smallest 4x2 M-Hub, you could do an 8x48 M-Hub execution from us, because it's all familiar, established technologies. It's all mature technologies. It all works. We know it works. We've been spending a lot of time making it work. So there's no big surprises. We don't have to have these massively complex training sessions. We don't have to become an IP expert overnight and understand the pitfalls of, jumbo packets and all the rest of it. We've just got something that's very familiar, very easy to deploy, works like a treat.
Didn't we literally just last week, we did something in Qatar, didn't we? For
Yeah,
a bar.
8x23.
Never even picked up
off
an
an
M Hub.
iPad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely right. Was it a bar? Yeah, it was. Yeah,
In Kuwait.
yeah. In
Are we
Qatar.
allowed to say where it is?
Well,
Is it in
it's
Qatar for the World
and it's
Cup?
for the World Cup.
Yeah. So we just did
we should
that.
put that all over our social media.
Yeah.
Plug it.
We did that. There was no control system involved. There was no. I think the installer had no knowledge how to do video distribution. So AV over IP or anything like that was just out of the question. And they got in touch with us directly on the website. I think
used our ticket system to communicate with us.
Were they the electrical contractor for the project?
Something like that. I think
There was
so.
one electrical contractor and an IPTV service provider.
Yeah.
And so which one was it that selected the M Hub?
It was a joint effort by the sounds.
Okay, so two professional installers, but not. I do struggle with this sometimes with custom installers, but they're not CEDIA or AV professional installers, but they're fully qualified electrical installers.
Yeah,
they've
qualified
got
in
the,
a
they've got
field.
the skill set to
They'll just
install
pay
an M Hub.
450 quid a year for a badge on the ramp.
And,
I'm not
and-
going to go there. 40.
You started it. I just fucking find the costs. You loaded the barrel, mate. I fucking blasted it.
Point is, if you've got the skill set, we've hopefully
infrastructure.
Director of UI and UX
that is
has created an easy enough to build system and install that you should work, especially because it's got uControl on board. And
I mean,
it did.
the first start on the M Hub, but you turn it on and then go through that first start. Which
First
of your rooms? Name
Yeah.
them. Bang, 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 bang. You run it through.
7
seconds.
7 seconds.
That's-
7
Oh my God,
seconds
that's-
away.
What am I doing? That's 7. Right, 7 steps, and you can have the M Hub set up and ready to go. And we've worked on trying to make it as easy as possible. Is it as easy as a consumer could just pick it up? Yeah, pretty much. But for the type of people that Chris just mentioned, that's the sort of segment that we've really concentrated on. So there's some concepts of like zones and like source labeling and downloading control packs and stuff like that. But it walks you through that process, and the end result is a fully functioning media distribution system. And it all came from one brand. It's all supported by one brand, and it all works.
We should have that in a case study, so when people go, why have they don't even get the point of uControl?
Yeah, I'll
Just
be
like, well, we just sold a 8x23 system in
Yeah.
Qatar.
That's the other thing. I don't think many people know how much uControl is used. I can
So
tell you because if we release
built
something with a problem, we know about it. Like, within like minutes of like the update going out, we'll be like, boom, boom, boom. The ticket system will start filling out, and then people start running around in here like, oh crap, someone's really fucked up. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say what you want.
Yeah, there'll be like people running around, and I was like, oh shit! It's always like the worst time. Like I'm
So
cooking
I said
dinner or
uControl
something.
a few times, right?
Yeah,
Let's break it down. Let's break it down in black and white.
go for it.
uControl, what is it?
What is it? Yeah, well, so what Chris said there, if you buy a video distribution system, traditionally they're dumb. They're really stupid. You can't do anything with them unless you attach a control system to it.
Yep. So control for
Yeah.
Crestron, Savant,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
The usual suspects.
Yeah.
Right? But we all know that I don't know that's a working figure. Let's say it costs like £500 per room to get that hooked up so that you can get AV control. The idea behind uControl and our approach to it was that we were never comfortable with having that reliance on a third party.
First party.
Never comfortable with it. Chris, it was one of those things that Chris used to like drone on about it, like it was constantly going on, like we need to find a way to do this. Like, and the very first version of uControl actually was fully IP. It didn't work on IR or anything like that. It just worked on IP, but it was clunky and didn't scale very well.
Mhm.
So what it would allow you to do was choose what you wanted to watch, where you wanted to watch it
Mhm.
on a very basic level.
Mhm.
And then we had some IP control drivers for some source devices that supported IP control.
Yeah, that was
which
it.
at the time,
Roku and I think it was Apple.
limited.
Maybe
It was very
Yeah.
limited.
Apple one would have just
Still is.
broken after an update. That famous Apple update.
Yeah, the famous Apple update, which killed us as well.
Yeah.
iOS 14
Yeah.
killed the dead.
So we were like, no, let's switch to something that definitely works.
Mhm.
And it
Back to
sounds
good old infrared.
Yeah, back to infrared. It works. It'll never go.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
worst thing that will happen with infrared, in my case, is I've plugged it into the wrong port,
Mhm.
like the transmitter, or it falls off. Like that's pretty much
It
the
doesn't
worst.
if you use mate.
Yeah.
Never falling off.
Yeah. You guys got your own. Your own
But
ways
let's
around
say
that.
So with that, you're saying you've kind of gone from IP, you've gone back to technology, but even say using what we do, Control 4, we do exactly the same.
Yeah,
So we
I hear it
are
all the
using
time.
IR for Apple TVs, for Samsung TVs, because the Samsung TV's IP control is absolutely horrific.
Yep.
So we have that on there as well. And again, when something IP related has been, let's say, not so stable, not that ever happens.
No.
But yeah, it's always revert back to IR.
Yeah, and we hear that all the time. And again, for the type of guys that are new to the industry, you yourself were in the same sort of position.
I was. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't have a control system at the time. I was literally
Yeah.
using original remotes on your
IR passback and stuff.
IR passback. That's
Yeah.
how my house worked at first. Before I then had control.
It's a very simple and easy concept to pick up. You go, right, I've turned it on, I've got the app, I've gone through those 7 steps, I've installed control packs for my TVs and my Skybox, and now all of a sudden, whichever room I'm in, I can adjust the volume, I can turn the TVs on and off, I can switch to AVRs if I had an AVR in that zone, and I could control what I'm watching and choose what I'm watching, and it just all works very, very quickly.
So that's for an app on your phone.
And that's on your
That's
app on your phone
standard with every M Hub. It's a free
built-in.
thing.
since 2016.
So as there's been a lot of supply issues at the moment with control system, remote controls and stuff, we know of a number of projects that are currently running on uControl as an interim solution until the remotes arrive. And installers that are like, I didn't even realize we could do this. It's like we've been doing it for
Literally,
5
we've
years.
been plugging this.
Yeah.
This has been plugged on the socials.
Yeah.
Regular.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I know.
Hello. It says
Hey,
on the
attention.
box. There's actually a sticker on the lamp port that says, "Please connect to uControl
Yeah.
before connecting to."
Yeah, we did
There's
that
a
on
sticker.
purpose.
I'll tell you a funny thing. There's we get a number of support calls where they're like, I can't find the M Hub on the network, and like, where is your LAN port? And we were like, there's a sticker, right? And it was like, yeah, there's a sticker there. And they're like, just peel that sticker. The sticker says like,
Peel
plug,
me.
yeah, peel me. I here is your LAN port. Yeah, set me up first. And the number of times people miss that entirely. So I guess it's just repetition. A lot of people seem to think that uControl is like a budget form of AV control. It's not.
No.
It is a legitimate method to control your AV. It just the reason that it's looked at it that way is that
Probably because it's free.
It's free.
Because it's free.
It's
Yeah,
free.
people like it's
Yeah.
free. Now it must be shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I need to correct you on something. You said it was just AV, but as of a few months ago, from EI,
Oh yeah.
from that EI live show,
I call it AV Plus.
yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah,
We're still working on that title, Chris.
Chris. I don't like it.
It's we demonstrated at EI Live the ability to use uControl to also create what you would know in Control 4 as a scene. What do we call them, Dylan?
We
Sequences.
Yeah.
And working title again. But the thing is, now we can create a series of chain of events like you would do in a scene. Turn TV on, turn Skybox to 501, turn volume to this. But we can also, now we've added an expanded range of supported devices. We've gone beyond AV into lighting. So what we were and smart plugs. So that's what we showed at EI Live. We were able to create a from a single button press, either on the app or on our Apple Watch app. Single button press, set the mood, turn everything on, and also as you leave the room, turn everything off. Now, that is probably one of the most commonly triggered events in a Control 4 system. And we have included it for free with every single matrix we sell. So I think that's something that should be celebrated a bit more than we get credit for. But then again, that's what all founders say.
So basically, you've put uControl isn't just for AV anymore. You kind of expanded upon that, adding more stuff. So the free control system that you give away with the Matrix is then all of a sudden, it's a control system. It's all right.
I think it's certainly. I mean, the original premise was AV control, but it's just like a natural progression. Like Chris said, all money is put almost back into R&D, especially with our software. And once AV control is pretty much done, especially with IR and stuff. But if you imagine what else is there to control, lighting, potentially heating, blinds,
projectors,
things with
moving
relays,
parts.
triggers,
moving parts.
Yeah, and we can do all of that. And what we set out to do at Essential Install was just show off what we've been working on during lockdown, because
it's all getting there's a lot of looking at each other now, like, am I saying too much?
What have we been doing in lockdown?
So you've been busy behind the scenes.
Yes, yeah.
Well, one of the products is where it's sat over there at the side of us, and it's in your new training racks. But that's
Zone
processors. That's I can say that one.
Yeah.
I can talk about that one.
That's out there.
Cam, cue it up.
Yeah. Do you want to say what the zone processor can do, Justin?
So Zone Processor is this clever little box, originally designed with one idea in mind. Now it has three capabilities, right? So its first and the original intention was to take uControl out of an M-Hub, put it into a standalone box.
Yeah.
Once we have uControl in a box that has an output or 2 or 5, then you can take products that inherently weren't able to be controlled from an app or by voice for that matter, and suddenly put them into that control space and create sequences and schedule those sequences. It could be something as simple as a projector in the roof that needs to be triggered, and then the projector itself will trigger the screen, and we can create some AV scenes around that, and off you go. So it could be controlling a home theater system in a media rack. It was giving our control experience, our simplified, easy, relatively inexpensive control experience to people that for situations where it wasn't available. So that's sort of job number one. Job number two, and kind of adding to what Dylan said, but just with a bit of all Dylan's work and all the reinvestment in software.
Yeah.
And I like to tell this joke in our training, but it's not far from the truth, was Dylan made himself spectacularly unpopular in the company because we'd launched products in 2016, 2017 based on the API that he had developed. And then when he realized that there was more power to be had, he basically had to go back and go, I'm going to rewrite this API from the ground up. We're going to rebuild. All that investment is not wasted, but we're going to do it again to make it better. And we rebuilt our API in such a way that it would give our own uControl more power, but it also makes us play nice with those third-party brands. Not we don't like them. We just don't like to be reliant on them. But if you do have a Control for RTI, Savant, Crestron Home, or whatever, we were able to offer a much deeper layer of integration with those brands than anybody else could at the time.
So I remember this one deep.
Yeah.
Because we actually come down with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we did
In this room.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was
the old
the
building, wasn't it?
old
Yeah.
office before you actually moved over
That's
here.
it. My
Because,
bad.
in fact, because that was the day when we came over here, and then I hung your tellies for you.
Yep.
That was that day. So we'd gone over there and we'd done an Instagram live,
Right.
and we'd actually announced. Well, you teased it, I think, hadn't you? We did like a live demo. A live demo of
The expanded IO.
Basically,
expanded IO.
making the IO on HDAnywhere devices, including the ZP, available to use within Control 4.
So that's the second function. Is
Yeah.
now suddenly we're output expansion, but we're remote output expansion. So our zone processors work on Wi-Fi or cabled LAN. Now you just need to add control of some IR or RS-232 device, and you're a control 4 guy, no problem.
Mhm.
Our outputs present in Composer, and off you go. You can go and expand your
Nice.
system at a lower cost with more effect.
It can either be, if it's thought about before the system goes in,
Yes.
it can be, again, a value saving, a port saving,
Absolutely.
a device saving measure, or it can, in most cases, be a get out of jail.
Get out of jail box,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
that's the second function. So first function, uControl in the box. Second function, output expansion to third-party brands. And third function is when we use it as a stack master control.
Mhm.
So that's what zone processors do essentially. But in this process, learning from our lessons, listening to feedback from guys like you and around the world, the operating system in zone processor is our traditional uControl operating system on steroids,
Mhm.
with more capability and more ability. And this is what gives us access to the ability to drag in IP
Mhm.
into the space and suddenly do some really cool things around what we can do with IP control. Almost bringing uControl full circle, going back to IP control, which is where we wanted to start
Reliably.
originally, but couldn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now
As
reliably.
reliably as
Yeah.
I will give you.
Yeah, as you can do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So these little boxes are just they're so much more than what you see on in the spec sheet because we've got this incredible amount of intelligence built in. That's ours.
That's the exciting path ahead for the company, is this new world of hackers and tweakers
Yeah.
and this new community that will hopefully use the HDAnywhere uControl devices and processors and capabilities to create end results for clients that we haven't even thought about.
Yeah.
Where can you
True
find
story.
that,
That's it.
Chris? It's on Facebook.
Yeah,
it's
we
on
can.
our company Facebook page. So
You got a Facebook group.
yeah, Facebook
For
group.
hackers.
Yeah, for hackers and tweakers and stuff, because that is what we want to see. It's priced very competitively, and the number of things that you could do with it
Mhm.
are like Justin's very neatly like put it into 3 categories, but you could almost do anything, any sort of control problem that you have, you can chuck a zone processor at it and find a way to resolve it. Within a couple of APIs, you can write your own little control system. If you had a bar that
Pull
needed
your own webhook in.
yeah,
Mhm.
you could get kids come out of school now, be able to write
Links.
HTML
Yeah.
web pages. You can write an interface for your bar or your club, whatever. One button, everything is automated, and it will just work.
Nice.
So yeah, there's loads of stuff, and I think the idea behind the group is to try and encourage that. Or
I see
encourage
Colin
those
doing a
guys.
lot of it online. Colin's
loves
loving
it.
hacking his stuff, doesn't he?
He loves it.
Colin,
Yeah.
he's got his projector and set up at home.
His
and
house
he's
is like an HDAnywhere warehouse.
Yeah.
So our HDA test lab
Yeah,
remote.
yeah. He has his own little group for like bug hunting and stuff because he's got literally every bit of kit at home. So
nice.
yeah,
So slightly off topic then, but I feel like I need to explain it. In fact, when we had a little break before, Cam says I have to explain it because the whole time we've been doing this podcast, there is actually a blue cup. Well, there's a white cup with blue writing on it there that says "Ultra Wanker," and I actually thought Chris was quite a nice guy. Chris, why are you a wanker?
That's because I turned into an ultra wanker about a year ago.
Right?
I signed up to do a crazy challenge, which is running across the Sahara Desert, 250 kilometers across the Sahara Desert in 6 days. And in order to train for that, it meant entering lots of ultra marathons and turning into one of these guys that's just only all about running.
Mhm.
That isn't me. That isn't actually who I
That
am.
isn't you at all. I've known you long enough to know that is not you. Football on a Saturday, pub Saturday afternoon to
Yeah.
evening.
I normally like a lager, and I had to completely knock that on the head for a year to train for this. What is a
Taking it pretty seriously.
serious
Well, it's serious.
thing?
It's
yeah.
serious.
Very
Six
serious.
marathons in 6 days,
Yeah,
not just anywhere in the Sahara Desert.
that's right. And it was in lockdown, was still kind of there or thereabouts.
Mhm.
And to be honest, Justin here had at this point, Justin, if you don't mind me talking about it on the podcast, got COVID in South Africa, and he was one of those unlucky people that ended up in intensive care.
Got real bad.
Real bad. Extremely bad. 12 weeks, was it, in intensive care?
41 days in
41 days in intensive care. And we have to bear in mind that bringing Justin to the UK has been a plan that's been in place for probably nearly 3 years.
Yep.
You know, all the visa paperwork and everything. There's been a huge amount of effort that's gone into bringing Justin and his family here. And then, boom, he just gets hit with COVID. And it's something that happens to other people. It doesn't happen.
Somebody
to
you
us.
know.
Yeah, it's in the paper. It's not to you.
Yeah.
It's on the news. It's not, and then for it to really strike down Justin, you know, we knew we had to focus on what we could do for him and his family over that period. And during that time, you know, it puts a lot of things into perspective. And we're all growing older. Dylan's 40. This weekend.
Not quite yet. Yeah, I've got 3 days left.
And we're all softened up a bit. We all were affected by it. And I must, in a moment of weakness, gone, right, I'm going to do something crazy and raise some money. So I booked my place on that race, not really knowing the full extent of how bloody serious
I've
it
been
was.
watching that hype video. 6 marathons in 6 days.
And I just set a figure of 25 grand as what I want to raise, and I want to donate that to Together for Cinema, which is our industry's charity of choice.
How are we doing on that?
We're very, very close. I think we're about 23 and a bit. So I'm very hopeful that we'll smash through the 25.
Yeah.
And what that will mean is, instead of installing cinemas for Sheikh Mohammed or, you know, very wealthy people, we're going to install a cinema for a much more deserving clientele, which is actually the child itself. It's children's hospices and respite centres, and in these places, what you find is children who have limited lives. So it's important that the last days are as fun and as good as we can make them, not just for the child itself, but for the family, the carers, the extended family, and what have you. And so to bring what we do by creating these amazing cinemas and putting that into a children's hospice is very, you know, once you've seen the effect it can have, it's a very rewarding thing, and it's something that can transport that child and that family out of that really shitty situation that they're in.
Just let me enjoy a few hours in the cinema. So that's what we're doing it for.
That's
Together
what we're doing
for
it
cinema.
Together for Cinema. And so, tomorrow I'm heading to Gatwick.
And I didn't realise when we had this planned in, because this has been planned in for a few months, it's coming down here today.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's next week. It's next week. It's not like, oh, you're doing this in a few months. It's next week. So the time that this actually goes out, you'll have completed that. So congratulations, Chris, for doing a great job and not dying in the Sahara Desert.
How many months you come back mostly alive?
Yeah,
but that's...
with 2 legs.
You've got a little bash welcome home party plan.
Welcome home party planned.
DJ Dylan on the decks.
Yeah, Digital Dylan. Yeah,
Digital Dylan is making a comeback from the university days.
Absolutely. I'm going to be like smashing out the bangers.
There's a lot to celebrate with HDA people at the moment. There's a successful arrival of Justin here in the UK with his family, starting a new life. There's Dylan hitting that milestone age.
What are we talking about? Diabetes.
You want to bring
age.
up diabetes? I was talking about your age.
That's what you've done with this space.
But there's
even the space here.
The remote. We've got lots of staff that are hitting 5. We've got some staff that are hitting 10 years with the company, which is also a good indicator that, you know, what we're doing is.
Yeah. So you're not really an ultra wing.
No. We need to come back to that, because honestly, it was before I went to Ibiza for my holiday, but during that point, I've still
dropped that in.
Those are my kind of holidays. But like that week, I remember just Chris came into my office about 3 or 4 times with different rucksacks, asking me for an opinion. I was like, I don't care about your rucksacks, Chris. like, what do you think about this one? Like, it sits well, and that's fine, right? It's when he starts modeling his underpants for you, and then we just start to just say, oh, he's a running wanker.
Yeah,
like,
It's a very important choice
Yeah,
that you
well-
have to make.
Yeah, I'm glad you share it with the leadership team. It's good to get a balanced opinion on it.
So there were some tactical advantages to me only arriving recently.
Yeah, you missed all
You
of
missed
that.
it. Missed
yeah,
it. Pants.
yeah.
Mm.
And we were just just talk about his running thing again. Like, oh yeah. So yeah, I think was it
mean, it's
James who got you the mug?
No, that was actually my brother and his wife.
Oh wow, it
Yeah.
spread.
Oh, sorry, everyone knows.
spread
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah, and then I made it even more wankery by sticking like the Petzl head torch sticker on that all the
Yeah.
ultra wankers wear.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so
So
he's
but it's
fallen down
only
that
for a
rabbit
brief period. You know?
Yeah,
It's like when people discover golf and then all they talk about is fucking golf. For
I
about-
can't wait for
Well-
you to start drinking again, Chris.
I've had some nights out with Chris. We had a very busy night out in Amsterdam. So
Yeah.
I know Chris can drink like a fish.
Yeah, you can. yeah.
Yeah, I like having fun. What can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna save it for end, but got you a little something for you. Well, it's not actually for you, actually for the thing you're doing.
Really?
Got you a little something.
Really?
Got you a little something.
Wow.
Bear with me. We're gonna have no audio for this next bit.
Does this normally happen?
You say that. No.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
It's big. What is
It's big.
this?
Oh my shattered nerves. What are we dealing with?
What is it?
Look at you go.
Oh wow.
Oh,
wow.
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 That's amazing.
It's see, we've got your logo on it. Yeah, got your logo on the
That's
chair.
incredible.
Brilliant.
So this, you're probably thinking, why is Rich? I thought Rich was my friend and he's not even supposed to be here. Because I wanted to sit and give you this, which I didn't realise Jeff was going to do this big, and this is actually the third one we've had. But there you go, mate.
Well
Nice.
done.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Wow, brilliant.
Well done, Rich, and everybody at Artist Smart. Well
There you go.
done.
Is that all right? Everyone at Alice Smile, we didn't pay for it.
We haven't had the discussion about your Christmas bonus yet, man.
I really appreciate it.
A week off that Christmas one.
There you go, mate. So you're only 300 quid off target now. I'm going to put it on socials today as well, so
Yeah.
I can get it over.
Yeah, let's just get a picture of mine. This,
What do you want a picture of?
me and Rich holding this.
Okay. Go, Dylan.
Well, we
Grab
can finish
it.
what we can do.
We'll do
Yeah.
a big one.
We'll
get
do after. We'll finish.
a little
finish
groupie
what
one.
Oh, a bit taken back by that.
I love it. That's why I wanted to do it live on air. That's why I just flipped you and did it there.
Love
It
it
needs
up
to get
there.
back to the
Brilliant.
effect.
Oh,
Stick that up there. Brilliant.
it's always like the last few £100 that are hardest to get.
Yeah. Hey, it's a bit like being in our business, right? 90% of the effort and the last 10% of the time.
Yeah. It's just, man, I feel like I've got to get a hat or something. I'll get AOS put on the hat.
That's it. I've not got a logo on it. Them bloody jerseys.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, a little
long
pin badge
suffering
for him.
sign writer and
I'll
graphics
find a
designer.
way.
And
I'll
I'll
find
find
a
the
way.
late night again.
I saw your sponsorship packages earlier on. And I thought,
Yeah.
you know me, I do love a good brand everything and get the logo over it. I was like, hold off. I thought, do you know what? I can live not having a logo on his top or on his boxers or pants, whatever you wear.
It was
really cost me
probably
something.
good,
Yeah. I thought, we'll bring a big branded check instead.
That's fantastic.
you
Oh,
go,
that's
mate.
great. That's great. It's
That is
unbelievable.
nice.
Ah,
So often you get him speeches.
Yeah.
Well done, Rich.
yeah.
Well
I
done.
mean, what can I say? That it's just, yeah. I don't know.
There you go. I'll give you
Yeah.
a minute. I'll just finish up Morgan. Not Morgan, sorry. I'm talking about who I'm going to talk about there, Justin. Obviously, your time in South Africa, and before you even come over here, there was a chap who I'm going to give a special mention, which is Morgan at Mirage Networks. And he was actually based out in South Africa.
That's right.
And obviously using the products, and he was somebody you'd work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Great guy, very switched on, so energetic, so passionate about what he does. Morgan is sort of this. People are trying to create fusion energy. You just got to really just, if you could bottle Morgan, you'd be good, you know.
And again, comes down to the thing we discussed before. He cares.
He does. You know, he really puts his heart and soul into everything he does. And it's always a pleasure to work with people like that. And in my view, I've always seen myself as working for people like Morgan. But it is such a pleasure. And there are people I've met who've contracted him to do work for them and really get more than just the work done. They really get a person who's taken them on a journey of discovery and you know, trying to figure out what they could do with their home or their office. And he's good at that. He's really good at that. And it's always a pleasure. Yeah. And I mean, I'm an old fart compared to Morgan. I've got to tell you, he's taught me a good few things. And it's always a pleasure to be schooled from anybody in our industry.
And it's crazy that.
Yeah, shout out to Morgan.
Yeah,
Great
stuff
chat.
like that obviously comes from, I mean, we quite prolific on socials, use social media a lot.
Yeah.
But even meeting Morgan, I only know Morgan through Instagram, which is mental. Yeah. But he's coming to the UK in September.
I believe so.
So he's going to come over and see us then. You're saying again, like a few other guys in South Africa when you're over there that knew about stuff. And
just generally in the continent of Africa, AOS is like big. Like we get pinged all the time. Yeah. Yeah, just from people who've like seen random videos and then gone, I kind of need to get something done like this. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
I mean, also I think Rich, where it's quite interesting is there are a lot of guys. I found it surprising. You know, your popularity in South Africa surprised me, and not because you're a UK based company doing things in the UK. You're not an international brand. You're not putting yourself out there as that, unless you've got something up the wings that we don't know about. But the thing about it that I realized is one, and what I like and respect certainly is you're happy to put the good energy out there and put the info out there and say, "Oh, this is what this is what we do. You want to be a part of it?
This is what we do.
You want to watch what we do? Watch by all means. No hard feelings. There's enough space for all of us, and let's go do what we do." And I mean, I've been in training now for a better part of 20 years, trying to train people on products or services or technology. I've been involved with CEDIA and all these other things, but integrators, and I love them dearly. I know you hate the word, but for the purposes of description, integrators are stubborn buggers for the most part. And trying to teach some of them or make them spend the time to learn. It's not about teaching. It's not that they don't want to. It's about investing the time. It's about going, in order to grow my business or grow my person, I need to stop working for a moment and just learn. And so realistically, and our platforms represent this, and COVID reinforced this, is online, be it social media, be it online training, be it whatever, has become very valuable to these guys. And what they see in the stuff that you post and put out there is aspirational, it's educational, and it's informative, and sometimes it's downright fun and it's got nothing to do with business.
I think if anything, if this podcast just gives you a little taste of what it's like at HDA, then I think it's done a pretty good job.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
But
I mean, also the relationship, the fact that, hey, we're happy to do this, and we have fun doing it, and we're super stoked that you're here doing it. You initiate, you coming in. This is how I do my business. You want to be a part of it? Pull in. It's great. It's fun. It's not a normal day at the office.
I know, and I think that's a lot of suppliers. Like when we've been sending the stuff out on the podcast stuff, or when they've seen stuff coming up on the socials, they're like, how much is this going to be? Because there's so many people who do like this kind of stuff that are doing it because they want something back from it. And man, in mind, the reason I've done this and picked the business and brands we're doing it with is partly because I want to highlight our supply chain, highlight the people we work with, highlight the products, highlight the people, but also partly the stuff that we'll do and I will put it out on the socials and get it across is also a bit of a thank you for any businesses and people who have supported me from when I didn't even know what it was, what a product was. And right the way through and been with me today. So
that makes sense, man. I mean, so two of the most successful entrepreneurs I know of in this industry is Chris and the chap who founded Screen Innovations. And one of the common denominators between both of them is they'd never forget to be grateful for who was standing next to them when it started.
100%.
And that's really important. Don't get too big for your boots that you're not prepared to just step back and go, hang on, this is great. We've grown from his apparently, I didn't know this, second bedroom.
Yeah.
Right, I'll add that to my list of things I didn't know, but grown from second bedroom to a multinational operation. But it's okay. We still go down to the pub and have a pint and talk about the good old days.
We've been talking about the good old days today. We managed to get it out before we started the podcast.
we covered a few bit. I don't know if we can go into any of those details.
We could, but we'll probably leave them.
What's the censorship law like in this country? Get past in South Africa. Get past.
But cool. Right, well, guys, thank you very much for your time today. We're probably going to grab some lunch and then shoot another video. But yeah, thank you for your time. Thanks for the exclusives.
Lovely.
And obviously, Chris, in case anybody didn't catch it, you're actually you're running a few
Jogging
miles
on in a
next
bit.
week.
Yeah.
So good luck for that.
Thanks, mate.
Hope to see you back.
I'll be back. Don't worry. We'll have a bit.
I'll be back. My
Definitely.
intention is to return.
Yeah, and we'll
You
have
know
a,
this
we'll have
boy.
a beer next time.